Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Good afternoon. Prime Minister, they've been before we officially start, may I ask the driver of CT4256, the police have asked me, CT4256, to remove your car as soon as possible. It's blocking the entire roadway. Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite you to stand for the playing of our great national anthem. Please remain standing. You know, we cannot start any function without prayer. That's right. May I invite Pastor Gwendolyn Thomas of the Mount Carmel AME Zion Church to lead us in prayer. Let us
Thank you so much for keeping care. Thank you for protecting mercies. Thank you, Lord, for this day that you has given us a day, Lord, to be remembered. And so we are thankful to you, Lord, for journeying mercy for all those that have gathered here. And Lord, for the cost of gathering here today, we want to give you thanks first for your love, for your tender mercies, and that you cares. And no one ever cares for us like you, Jesus. You are the King of Kings. You are the Lords of Lords. You are the conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. I want to thank you this moment for our Prime Minister. Father, you know him by name. You know him by nature. You know his work, Lord, and even for the gathering this evening. We thank you for all those that really journey with him, Lord, and you know the cost why they are here. And we just thank you, Lord, to know it's all because of love. While we can gather at this groundbreaking ceremony, Lord, and we know you that has begun the work is able to complete it. So, Lord, we are asking thee, as we are about to begin, Lord, we ask that you cover this place under your blood. Cover us under your blood. Direct everything for us and lead in every area. And let everything be done to the glory and the honor of your name. We give you thanks again for what you have done, still doing and about to do, in Jesus' name.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. You know, it's always good to journey across Jamaica because we get to see beautiful places and even more beautiful people. Wakefield, thank you so much for welcoming us this afternoon. May I just officially start by welcoming officially Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Dr. the Honorable Christopher Tufton, your Member of Parliament, Mrs. Arlene Williams, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, officials from the Parish Council, officials from the new social housing program, and also officials from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, beautiful people of Wakefield in St. Catherine, good afternoon to you. I want to know, that kind of, it never sit right. Let's do it again. We tried it earlier, so let's do it again. Good afternoon to you. Yeah, man, that sounds strong. I want you to especially too, and I'm going to ask you to say it again, give a big good afternoon to all the people who are viewing online. So tell them good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah, man, in this day and age, you see, Wakefield is way bigger than the actual size, than the amount of people here, because you have an audience that goes far and wide across, not just Jamaica, but across the world. And they're watching and looking on and saying, what a good thing happening in Wakefield. You know, as Pastor Gwen was praying, there are a couple of things that came to mind. And the Prime Minister, when we do the Can I hear you say love? Miss Gwen, what does the Bible say about it? But the greatest of these is, well, ladies and gentlemen, today is an act of love from the government of Jamaica, because we are here today to ensure that you have proper infrastructure. Sometimes you look across Jamaica and say, boy, things develop warm to me and my community. Well, here it is. It reached you, right? And so a lady in the civil service who works hard to ensure that we make sure every bit of the development you see reaches you is the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. And so to tell you more about why we're here and all the good things that will happen for you is Miss Arlene Williams. Please give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Naomi Francis, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister and Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Dr. the Honorable Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness, and the Member of Parliament for St. Catherine West Central, and Pastor Gwen, yes, Mr. Lushane Williams, representing the beneficiaries, residents, you've come out in your numbers, Arch Waterproofing Limited and other project partners, members of the OPM and MEGJC team, members of the media, distinguished ladies, gentlemen, children, a very pleasant good afternoon to all of you. Today is a great day, a good day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It's also a great day because we are here and your Member of Parliament is here as well, who has agitated for what we are going to do today. beneficiaries. And of course, I want you to follow us on social media. Our PR team is here. We want you to know of the many things, the many exciting things. We are talking about the Spark roads. We are talking about the implementation of new water supply systems, all the very exciting matters that are being dealt with under our ministry, led by the Prime Minister. And so the new social housing program, and you will hear me referring to it as the NSHP as I go forward, stemmed from the recognition of the need for adequate, affordable shelter by the most vulnerable in the society. The program, which is a component of the Housing Opportunity, Production and Employment, the HOPE program, is the result of careful assessment, strategic planning, and painstaking implementation, supported by the necessary budgetary allocations. The program, conceptualized in 2018 by our own Prime Minister, you will see how wonderful it is being rolled out. At present, it is headed by a project director, and you will see Mr. Richard Cargill around the place. It has oversight from the ministry and is administered by the NSHP Secretariat, which consists of technocrats. It is a fully transparent program with stringent oversight mechanisms in place to ensure that only the most deserving receive the benefits. So we conduct our social investigations. We come around, we interview you, we interview neighbors. And the applications also are thoroughly scrutinized by a project oversight committee, and the members are here, some of them today. It is headed at present by our principal finance officer, Mrs. Rob Walters, and also you will see our senior legal officer and other members who are here from the National Land Agency. But ladies and gentlemen, the NSHP is not only about enhancing the physical conditions of the beneficiaries and their children. And I was pleased to see so many children here today. It's summer now, and you're on your break. Make sure you're still reading your books, and make sure you're being very safe, parents. I'm asking you to look out for the children. I know some of them like to go to river. When we were growing up, that's what we did in the summer, and we don't want to hear of any accidents and any incidents, right? And so this program is enabling persons to live in greater comfort with safer structures. So when you have adequate shelter, it enhances your pride. You have pride in yourselves, your community, and in the society. It restores your dignity and increases your privacy. You feel optimistic and hopeful for your future and that of your children. Every Jamaican deserves the opportunity to experience this sense of pride and hope. When a landlord not to come to your door and knock on it and give you notice on all these things, and you don't have to go around catching at people's house, that's real empowerment that the government is bringing to you through this program. And so at present, the program employs 3 modalities. One is the provision of single detached housing, where the benefits are equitably distributed across all 63 constituencies, with each constituency receiving 5 units per annum. This is the modality that you come with your own land, or you have to have permission to use the lands. And I just pause here a bit to say that one of the challenges that we have with this modality is the difficulty sometimes because persons don't own their own lands. But not to worry. The government is looking into its land bank to see how we can increase the number of units that are delivered to you. The other modality is the relocation of vulnerable communities, where persons whose lives are in imminent danger, such as in flood-prone areas, can be moved. The upgrading of tenements, or what we call big yards, but we prefer to call them the multi-family housing solutions, such as this one. And so, when the new social housing program first started, we were handing over one or so house at a time. Now, the program has escalated to such a level where construction is now taking place in far less time. We're talking about a few weeks instead of months that we usually take to construct these units. And therefore, it is enabling the government to be in a position to hand over up to 10 houses at one point in time, in one day. And we intend to be handing out much more than 10 houses going forward. So as at present, a total of 295 housing units or 676 rooms have been completed under the NSHP, benefiting well over 1,000 individuals across 57 of the 63 constituencies. Currently, there are 45 active construction projects or 93 rooms across 19 constituencies. It is expected that all projects will be completed shortly. In addition, a total of 65 projects or 173 units comprising 384 rooms are expected to commence during this financial year. So it brings me now specifically to why we are here today, and I like the images that are being projected. Certainly what is to come in the near future, in a few months' time as a matter of fact. So if you look at the screen, you will see what we were talking of in terms of what was before and what will be soon implemented. So the Wakefield Mews housing development, and I have to thank the team, because they really put a lot into coming up with these names, and to match with the aesthetically pleasing structures that we are constructing. And so we will sign the contract shortly and break ground. And as I would have said before, this one is being implemented under the upgrade of tenements. That's modality 3. So the development will comprise 6 units in all, 3 2-bedroom and 3 3-bedroom units, as well as all the necessary infrastructure works, including the walkways, the sewerage connections, the individual light meters, and other utilities. Beneficiaries will also be afforded the opportunity to own their units. And I want to see the smiles on your face, when you say you'll be given the opportunity to own the units. So the contract sum for the project is just over $44 million, and it is expected to start immediately. Where's the contractor? And should be completed by January 2026. But of course, we are pushing the contractor to complete before January. The contractor is Art Waterproofing Limited. And we want the contractor, as we encourage all our other contractors, to deliver on time and within budget. But I want to address you, the beneficiaries, directly. When the project is completed, you will receive a beautiful new unit. Look at that. Mighty God. Beautiful indeed. Yes, very beautiful. But you also have responsibilities which you must fulfill. As such, you will be required to sign a social contract which establishes the terms of the usage, maintenance, and inspection of the housing unit. So under the social contract, the Minister of Housing, and who I said the Minister of Housing was again? The Prime Minister, all right? So I want you to know that under this contract, The Minister of Housing will undertake the repair of any defects in the housing solution within 1 year of the signing of the agreement. Beneficiaries, for your part, you are barred from leasing, selling, and subletting or otherwise assigning or disposing of the unit for a period of 20 years after the signing of the agreement without the written permission of the Minister of Housing, which I did tell you in this case is the Prime Minister. You will also be barred from extending, altering, or otherwise modifying your unit without the written approval from the Minister of Housing, the local municipal corporation, and of course, getting in touch with us at the ministry. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we embark upon this project, which I know is highly anticipated and will be life-changing to you and your families, I urge you to comply with all the terms of the social contract when the units are completed. Wakefield Mews will be much more than just a roof over your heads. It will be an opportunity to build a legacy for yourselves, your families, and your community. It is a means of breaking intergenerational poverty. And so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and I look forward to returning in 6 months or less, the Lord spare my life, when we shall witness the handing over of these units. God bless you all. Thank you.
Norman Wakefield, give her a big round of applause. Let me tell you why. When I hear PS sing January, you know what I say to people? Merry Christmas. Say Merry Christmas. If we keep everybody on their toes, you will have a Merry Christmas because we must can finish the project in time. Right, PS? A little ahead of time so that everybody can have a Merry Christmas. Also, let me tell you, big things really are going. Good things are happening in Wakefield. PS noted that the government is looking to its land bank to scale up the new social housing program. That means that the good things that are happening to you can happen to more people. Give the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation a round of applause again, ladies and gentlemen. So, your member of parliament been working hard, you know. The Prime Minister is working a little harder because, let me tell you, we haven't stopped. He has. But ladies and gentlemen, please make him welcome because he is yours. Your member of parliament, Dr. the Honorable Christopher Tufton.
Thank you very much. I know you see me fairly often. I was about to say every day, but some of you tell me a lie, me I tell, right? Very often. That should be enough. Let me welcome, of course, the Honorable Prime Minister, Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness. Thank you again, sir, for being here. Permanent Secretary, good to see you, ma'am. Other members of the social housing program who are here, too many to call names, and of OPM. And of course, to our citizens or residents right here in this community. Can I share one secret with you? I never know it named Wakefield News until I come and see it on the screen. Is you name it Wakefield News? Who named it Wakefield News? Huh? All right, nobody. Is you do it, huh? It sounds good. It sounds good. But for this community of what we normally call it, Backland, right? And I love the vintage name, but the Wakefield Mews sounds good also. We are very grateful, very happy to have the Most Honorable Prime Minister here. Let's give him a big round of applause, please. A big Wakefield Mews Backland welcome. And he's here with good tidings of great joy. So anytime he comes to St. Catherine West Central, we know it's good things him carry. So we want him to come every day. Can I get an amen for that? Amen. All right, excellent. So the Williams family are, I am sure, very grateful. We have the mother of the entire family, and she cannot move unless she is assisted. And I know she's going to tell the Prime Minister personally at the end of everything how grateful she is for what is happening here. But it's a very big family. And the facility that will be developed here, the Prime Minister will speak more to it. And you heard the Permanent Secretary speaking to it, is going to be well worth the wait. And it's going to put you in a modern facility in a community where you can live, be happy, grow your children, and that's what representation is about. So I am only here to say welcome, to say a big thank you on your behalf and on the community's behalf, and to say please keep holding the faith, have confidence in your government and your member of parliament. Time soon come. Know that them say, right? For me, that is, right? For me. And we will continue to build and to improve your community. I know the road coming in is a little, it's on the Spark program, all right? Just in case you're going to ask me. And I know we have fixed the one in here, but this little stretch here we're going to have to deal with. The councillor is here. All right, I'll talk to you after. The councillor is here, and I know he's working on it very much. So thanks again, and I'll hand back now to Madam Chairperson as we welcome the Prime Minister and his team for this very important achievement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tufton. Backland is the original name, right? Well, look at Backland becoming the front page as of now. Give yourselves a round of applause. You know, ladies and gentlemen, earlier I used some words. Hope. Our next speaker inspires hope. Every time he speaks, he says, don't lose faith, have hope. He also embodies care and compassion because, as he said this morning, when we're handing over 93 buses at the JUTC, he's motivated by the fact that he is one of you. He used to take the bus. He understands what it is to live in less than circumstances and to work hard and rise to the top. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. It is indeed my great pleasure to be in the wonderful district of, this is the Boxing Town area. And I don't know about anywhere called Backlands. And what we've tried to do with the naming of the developments that we're doing is to make them aspirational, meaning the name must represent the vision that you have for yourself and your community. So the Wakefield Mews is quite a lovely name. Yes, yes. And so just by a name, you can literally transform people's views and people's perception. You believe that? Yes, just by changing a name. Once I was at a car mart and I was looking at a vehicle and I saw this youngster looking at me. He was just staring at me, and his mother was nearby. And his mother came over and she said, hello, how are you? And the son came over and he was looking at me and then he said, I know you. I've seen you on TV. You're a politician. And I looked at him and I said, no, son, I am a political practitioner. And then he started to smile. Before he was looking at me with great suspicion and skepticism. But just because I gave him a lovely name, his perspective changed. So it is by changing the name of the community, you can change the perception of the community. But today we are here to talk about housing. And the government of Jamaica has a very comprehensive housing program. We have a housing program that supports the development of private housing. When I say private housing, what am I talking about? There are many Jamaicans who build their houses and have nothing to do with government. Government does not help them. Government does not give them a subsidy. They can build a house on their own. All they require is that the government ensures that they can get their title for their land, and there is road and water in the area, infrastructure. Then there are those who are able to afford their homes, but they can't afford their home all by themselves and right now. So those persons need access to a mortgage. And so we, through the NHT, we provide support for those persons. They are working, they earn an income, but they wouldn't have all the money to pay for it up front. And so the government, through the NHT, helps to support through the provision of a mortgage. And then there are persons who are not working at all. They have no income whatsoever. Shouldn't they also be entitled to some form of shelter? Yes. And it is the case that our society believes that there should be a minimum standard of shelter for everyone. So what happened to those persons then who are on the streets? They don't have anywhere to live. Sometimes you pass them and they are lying down on the street side and they have a little bag beside them. What happens to those people? We call them street people. Shouldn't they need some support? They need shelter. And so the government provides drop-in centers for some of them. Minister Mackenzie has built several across the island. And so they can go in, they can get a shower, they can get a hot meal. Those are the drop-in centers. What about those persons who are indigent or ill and their family can't take care of them? What happens to them? Shouldn't they get some shelter too? Yes. And the parish councils have what is called, P.S. what we call them? We call them the infirmaries. You know that your parish council operates several infirmaries, including here in St. Catherine. And there are families who can't take care of some of their older residents, and some of them are ill, and they have them taken into the infirmaries. And that is a role that the parish council would have under various laws of Jamaica, which mandate the parish councils to take care of the indigent and the poor. It's called the Poor Relief Act. And those facilities, they operate almost like a hospital and a hostel, because there are some persons who are immobile, they can't move, and they need specialist treatment, and sometimes nurses have to be there to support them. So that's part of the government's provision of housing and shelter. But then there are other cases. The family may not be infirm, meaning that they're not ill, or they have somewhere that you could consider shelter, but not quite, because the slightest rain or the slightest wind and that is destroyed. We have had situations, for example, of people living in cars, people living under trees, people living in cardboard box shelter, if you call it that. What happened to those persons? Shouldn't they also be entitled to some form of support for shelter? Yes. They have no income, but their situation is such that they should get help. And so this program, the new social housing program, addresses that segment of the housing need for persons who they live possibly in some form of shelter. They're not necessarily on the streets. They have a piece of land on which they can catch or with a neighbor, but they just don't have proper shelter. They are exposed to the elements, or they are living in a very small room with 10 and 12 persons in it, those persons need help too. Now, we don't have the latest census data which would pick up on the status of housing in the country, which would then inform how we structure our budget to support it. But we can estimate based upon the requests that come in to the Ministry of Housing and to the Ministry of Local Government. And on average, each MP would get about 100 applications thereabout for this kind of social housing provision. And if you were to accumulate that for all 63 MPs, you could estimate that there are about 6,000 households in Jamaica that would really be in need of this kind of support. And of course, what we do when we get these applications in, we have a committee headed by a senior person who is here, Judith Rob Walters, in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. She's a principal financial officer for the ministry. And they go through and check every application to make sure that the person who is applying actually meets the criteria to be considered for social housing. And the criteria are fairly straightforward and simple. One, they don't have the income, the means to improve their housing situation or acquire a house. They have a household that is large, fairly large. Within that household, they have pregnant mothers, young children, or dependents that are elderly. Then we look at disabilities. Then we look at threat from the environment. Some people live in areas that are on slopes that are unstable, areas that could be flooded. And then we look at something, a phenomenon in the Jamaican context, which we call the big yard or the tenement yard, which is a plot of land on which several distinct households live, but in circumstances that are substandard and usually a challenge to health and safety. Where we are talking about now in the proposed development of Wakefield Mews would be one area that we consider to be a big yard for the family. So the people who reside here are probably related, but they have different households. In this particular household, I gather, there are 6 households here, 6 distinct households. One of the household has 6 kids in it. The other has, I gather, another 4 or 5. So it's a large number of persons residing on a fairly small plot of land in circumstances that I won't go into all the detail, but it is not just unhealthy, but it is also, it creates antisocial conditions as well, which we must address. And so, if you put all the areas where the state should provide housing to persons who have no income or no means of providing the housing for themselves, we call that social housing. So the government provides social housing with drop-in centers, with infirmaries, and now through the actual construction of homes, and we call all of that social housing. And this particular modality is the new social housing program. Now, we have never had that to this extent before in Jamaica. And we took some time to develop this program over the last 5 years, and now the program is fairly well established. This program is delivering on a monthly basis at least 10 or more homes for needy families. And what we are trying to do now is to scale up the delivery of homes. We want to be delivering in the region of between 20 and 40 homes per month. Now I'm looking at the new social housing team and they are all smiling and saying, boy, they don't know how they're going to do it, but I know how you're going to do it. It can be done. Because if you need to deal with 6,000 families, then you really have to ramp up the delivery of the houses. One of the main obstacles for the delivery of these houses is the provision of land. This program does not provide land. The beneficiary has to get access to land and then come to us, and then we build the house. So we are now looking, as our permanent secretary has said, to identify lands that we can put social housing on. Now, we don't want to become a housing developer and be competing with the housing agency and the NHT. So we will look at it very carefully. We actually set a limit that what we are doing, we should build no more than 15 to 20 housing solutions. And then that will be within our zone of operations. What we are doing here today is to build 6 housing units. I believe we are going to be doing 3 3-bedroom units and 3 2-bedroom units here. And so the families who are living in really substandard circumstances, each will have a unit or an apartment for themselves, which will be properly titled, and everybody will be able to say, I own somewhere. Now, the units are going to be given freely to the beneficiaries, meaning that the beneficiaries get 100% subsidy on the unit. But the units are not free. The taxpayers of the country pay for it. And it is a trade-off from the taxpayers to say, if we improve the housing conditions of the people of the country, particularly the most vulnerable and the most needy, then we will reduce the number of households out of which criminals come, out of which people who act in antisocial ways come, out of which people who practice unhealthy lifestyles come. So it is by improving housing that we support the reduction of crime, that we improve the chances of the youngsters, the 14 youngsters in this household, to do better at school. Because when you have to be studying and water drop on your book and mash up your book, when you have to be studying and you don't have a proper place, 6 of you in the room, and you have to draw a curtain, and somebody over the other side doing all kind of other things, you can't concentrate, you can't study. What do you think going to happen with these households? And that is why the taxpayers agree that we should have some funding for social housing to reduce the negative impact of poor housing on the society. So when the beneficiaries get the housing, they have an obligation to ensure that the children in the household actually use these new circumstances to improve their outcomes in school. They have that obligation, because it would be a real waste if we improve the housing and the parents don't pay attention to the child and the child doesn't do well and come out to be antisocial. So when we give these houses over, we expect the beneficiaries to sign a social contract to say, we are going to ensure that we use the house for the purpose given, which is their residence, and we're going to make sure that our children and everybody else does well, be decent, law-abiding citizens who participate and support the development of the community. So today, we are breaking ground for the development of what was once called backlands, for an area which we call a tenement big yard. That will be no longer. And we are going to move this family and move the households here from poverty to prosperity. So while I have you for a few more minutes, and you have been a lovely audience, I saw a statement that said the government has failed to deliver prosperity. And I had to contemplate it very seriously and look into myself to see whether or not, as a government, we have delivered prosperity. You know, there's a Bible verse, I believe it's Jeremiah 9 verse 11. 29 verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you. Right? Plans not to harm you. Right? But to prosper you. And this, I believe, was said when the children of Israel were in a land that was not theirs. And they were all suffering. They were losing hope and losing faith. And the prophet Jeremiah delivered this message. It was a message of hope. And I'm certain that there would be those who would be saying, you know, there's no prosperity that is going to be delivered. But what is prosperity? There are some people who confuse prosperity with pleasure, with short-term happiness. Prosperity is not a moment. Prosperity is a journey. It is the constant progress of impactful and positive transformation of the lives of the people. It is a journey. There are moments on the journey where you will gain some pleasure, but you will also encounter some distress, some hurt, some unhappiness. But it is in the conquest of these things that you develop the mindset of being successful and prosperous. And what we have done as a government is to place the country on the journey of prosperity. Indeed, lest we forget that before 2015, the mantra and indeed the theme of the country was about poverty. It was all about poverty. I want you to stop and think. When last you are hearing, you know, a political debate about poverty? What has happened? What was the last thing we have heard about poverty? The last thing we have heard about poverty is that absolute poverty in Jamaica has been cut in half. 16% of the country before was estimated to be below the poverty line. The last measurement of that is that only 8% of the country is below the poverty line. If the ability to earn, even if it is not a lot, but at least you're earning, which means you have some income and you have some independence, in 2015, the unemployment rate was in the region of 13%. What is the unemployment rate today? The unemployment rate is the lowest it has ever been in the history of Jamaica at 3.3%. Meaning that if you were to take the unemployment rate as a probability, you have a 97% probability of being employed in Jamaica. So people who were not employed before are employed now. Of course, We are always going to argue about wages and the level of the wage and so forth. But we are in a better position today than we were a decade ago. Look at this family. They are going to be in a much better position as of today than they have ever been in their life. And it's not just this family. Over 1,000 persons have already benefited from this social housing program. This government has put in train, through the NHT, over 40,000 houses on track to be built. Not promises now. They are in the various phases of construction, from design and development to procurement to contract to construction. 40,000 houses. The people who are going to get those houses, they are going to be in a far better position than they ever were. Let's look at crime. I spoke to the acting officer in charge of the area and several of them in St. Catherine, and they all tell me that crime in this area is down 71%. I mean, isn't that for the people whose lives have been saved? They are infinitely better off. And so we have to confront these things and change our mindset. Because for so long we have been involved in this very long struggle in Jamaica that our default position is that not Nagwan. Whereas things are changing before your very eyes. And you need to change the perspective. You know, I keep saying to people, if you get a glass and the glass is at the half mark, what is it? Is it half filled or half empty? But that tells me how you see life. If your perspective is that the glass is half empty, where are you looking? You're looking at the bottom. But if your perspective is that it is half full, where are you looking? You're looking upward. And that tells me so much about your attitude. Because there's one thing we know about life, is that where you're heading in life is determined by your attitude. So I say to all Jamaicans, including the people who I'm speaking to here, it doesn't hurt to take a positive view on life. Attract positive energy. Give positive energy. Find the positives in everything and build upon the positives. And that is how you're going to achieve prosperity. Prosperity is not a moment in time. Prosperity is the accumulation of positive impacts and change in your life. But if you refuse to see the changes, you will miss it and you will be unhappy. Jamaica is changing in front of your very eyes, day by day by day. The intractable problems that you thought could not be solved, this administration has taken them on with great vigor and courage, and we have made progress that has never been seen before in the history of this country. Whether it is with the murder rate, a lot of you here think that Jamaica's murder rate could not be cut almost in half where it is now. A lot of you grow to accept it, that this is the way it is and the way it will always be. See it there now? We are 41% less murders today than we were same time last year. If you annualize it, when we took over in 2016, the murder rate per 100,000 was about 49 in every 100,000 people would be murdered. We cut that in half. Today, the average murder rate is between 20 and 25 per 100,000. Cut it in half. The world is looking on and saying, I wonder how Jamaica did it. Yeah, well, the story will be written. I'm sure I will have a bestseller when I write that story. The national debt, 140%. When we took it over, it was about 130% thereabout. Cut that in half. It is 68% now. That's the lowest it has been in 30 years. All of you here would have to pay new taxes before this administration came in. The administration before us placed $34 billion of taxes to fund 2 budgets. Every year when budget was being read, everybody in trepidation wondering what new tax is going to come. Nobody don't even pay attention to budget again. Nobody don't even ask no question about budget again. Because it's not a risk to anyone. Everybody understands that this government runs the economy stable. We can give you 10 budgets now, no new taxes. People used to worry about the foreign exchange rate and the national reserves. Our national reserves are the highest it has ever been. Intractable problems, difficult problems. We have taken them on. We still have some way to go. School bus. I know a lot of you here are eager to see the school bus come into your district for your kids to take them to school. I just looked at it and examined it. Wonderful buses. And you're going to have in your community, I'm sure your MP is working with the Ministry of Transport to organize the routes. So come September, you're going to have school bus. Never before in your history. But we do it. So, you know, I just have to speak these things. Because if we leave it up to the negative people, they will tell you that the sky is falling. They will tell you that they're going to give you a horse that can fly. And there are some people who believe it. And so my job is not to let the hard work that myself and Minister Tufton has done be trivialized and used in ways that are not accurate. My job is to stand on every platform, cut every ribbon, break every ground, commission everything and hand over everything so that the people of Jamaica can genuinely see the work that their government has done. My philosophy is, by the sweat of your brow, you shall eat bread. By your works, you will be known. And by your performance, you will be voted for. And that is what we are doing. I thank you for listening and thank you for choosing Jamaica.
Prime Minister, thank you so much. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I did say when the Prime Minister speaks, you feel encouraged. There's a sense of hope, and there is a sense that, yes, we can overcome whatever challenge we have. The essence of development and prosperity is that you do it bit by bit, sector by sector, household by household, person by person. And I want you to again understand the essence of it by taking a look at the screen. The buildings you see there now, the dilapidated buildings that your neighbors were living in a few months' time, that will be your symbol of change, development, and prosperity. So you too can see that it gets to Wakefield in St. Catherine. Give the Prime Minister another round of applause, everyone. And here comes a man who is grateful. You know, When you're grateful and when you give thanks, more come. Remember, I tell you that. Try it. When you are grateful and you give thanks, you will get more all the time. So Mr. Lashane Williams, one of the beneficiaries, will come now and give thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is with deep gratitude and a heartfelt appreciation that I'm standing before you today on the behalf of the Sims family and the wider Wakefield district community. Today marked not just a breaking of land, but not just a groundbreaking of land, but the laying of foundation for a new beginning, renewed hope, and a brighter future. We are truly honored to have the presence and support of our esteemed Prime Minister, Dr. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, whose vision for development and commitment to empowering families and community continue to make a lasting impact across Jamaica. Prime Minister, your leadership and personal involvement in this initiative have not gone unnoticed. The Sims family and the entire community are humble and thankful for your support, your vision for inclusive development, and your dedication in transforming life, especially in rural areas like ours. We are confident that this step taken today will open new doors of opportunities, strengthen family roots, and uplift generation to come. Your presence here today affirms your genuine concern for the people, and for that we say an heartfelt thank you. To all government officials, partners, and supporters who helped make this project possible, we are equally grateful. But above all, we express our sincerest appreciation to you, Prime Minister Holness, for choosing to walk alongside us in this important journey. May God continue to bless you with wisdom, strength, and courage as you lead this beautiful nation. Thank you, and may God continue to bless Jamaica land we love.
Lashane, thank you so much. Lashane, are you still in school? High school? What high school you go to? No, big up McGrath High School. No, man. Lashane did very, very well. Thank you so much, Lashane. We really appreciate it. And I felt like I'm part of your family because I felt really proud with you delivering that vote of thanks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have the contract signing ahead of heading over to the groundbreaking ceremony. And so to do the contract signing, we'll have Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Dr. the Honorable Christopher Tufton, as well as Mrs. Arlene Williams, the Permanent Secretary. If you could attend upon the stage, please. And we want to say a special thank you to the contractors, Art Waterproof Limited. They will be the ones that you hold to book. Mr. Art Waterproof? All right. Thank you for being here. No, man, put that right there. Don't worry. All right, as we get set to do the signing, we're going to then move over to have the groundbreaking. I know the matriarch of the family is standing by, and she really wants to ensure that she sees the I's dotted and T's crossed, because really this is a dream come true for her and her family. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are almost ready to sign. Mr. Cargill, we are ready? Contractor, yes, ma'am. Mr. Art Waterproof is right here. Representing, so Mr. Cargill, ready? And so now we'll see all the signatures going on the contract, which gives life to the project. And we'll certainly see this family improving their circumstance, especially regarding proper living conditions. Prime Minister, I think we can hold Mr. Contractor to ensuring that the residents have a Merry Christmas. If we aim for it, we can get it. The Prime Minister says of Jimmy Cliff's song, you can get it if you really want, because you'll succeed in the end. All right. So we have crossed this river, and all the contracts, all 4, 1 original, 3 copies, signed and ready for work to begin. And so may we have then an official handover? And I'm sure as we go to the groundbreaking, members of the family, and I see the matriarch shedding a tear or two, really. This is an unbelievable day for the family. It's finally here. And so the contract, ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause as we officially mark the start of work for Wakefield Mews in Wakefield District, Buxton, St. Catherine, for the housing development here, a multi-family housing development. Thank you so much, everyone. And now we quickly move then to the groundbreaking. more famous residents, who is also an author, who I had the privilege of doing some years ago. His son, is also here with us today. Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Rule writes children's books and does very well. And during the summer, as the permanent secretary said, it would be good for our students to ensure that they read, not just play while we're on summer break, but read as well. And of course, get involved in some wonderful summer activities. And now we are ready. So Prime Minister, on your count, you may start the groundbreaking.
Then at the count of 3, we turn to our right. 3, turn to the right slowly.
Smile, mommy, smile. Look at the camera.
This is not a
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. Ground is finally broken. And so the Wakefield Mews is now in the development that we see in the outline. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you in another 6 months when we will have the pleasure to deal with the opening ceremony. We have another groundbreaking. 4 months. Yes, ma'am. Prime Minister, may I take the liberty of telling them again once more, Merry Christmas. So we say 4 months? All right.
All right.
Set the target, and we will make it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. You've been a beautiful audience, an absolutely breathtaking community, and you've been a wonderful people. Take care, everybody, and have a good afternoon.